Hi. In this video, I will show a bit of the ideas around the Universal Registry of Things, which is one of the 3 prototypes I'm working in the current phase of my research. I have created this mirror board and have populated with some of the ideas that are around the Universal Registry of Things, and some, I believe one of the participants already added some comments, but I will not go into that right now. I just want to explore some of the questions I'm making for the participants of the Real City Lab, and ask you to post your comments in the form that I sent to the mailing list. So, particularly about the Universal Registry of Things, which you know as it's this idea of having a decentralized database or a collection of different databases through which people can access information about how to reuse different kinds of objects and materials. The idea is to allow a multiplicity of services to access this information and to add information to the Universal Registry of Things. I may start calling, I even sent a message about that to the mailing list, I may start calling it value data, but I have not decided yet. But what I want to hear from the participants, from all of you, is about these 4 aspects of the Universal Registry of Things. What it is, why, who will interact with it, and how. So first, what it is, the Universal Registry of Things will be a trusted source of information about how to reuse things. It will do so by offering information about repair, customization, and repurposing of virtually any kind of good or material. The first question I have for you is whether this is a relevant idea. You may see that in the form that I sent, so I'll ask you to post your comments through that form. The second question is about the justification or motivation and the why. The main motivation to create a Universal Registry of Things is to offer an easy way for interested parties to assess the potential reuse value of things. It answers to the fact that material resources are often wasted due to the lack of information about how they can be reused by individuals, collectives, and organizations. What do you think about that? And it has naturally a connection to some roles which we see in different parts of the world, sometimes more structured and organized and formalized, and sometimes a little more, I would say, informal or even loose or tacit. That is this ability to assess the potential value of things and materials. So this is the justification, and I would like to have your comments on this motivation, whether it is sound, if I'm framing it the right way, and other comments that you may have about the why of creating the Universal Registry of Things. Who? So on my first exploration, I imagine that the potential users of the Universal Registry of Things may be individuals who are willing to reuse materials in their household or neighborhood, community initiatives of repair, upcycling, and redistribution, repair professionals, second-hand shops and online marketplaces, manufacturers, waste management department at local authorities or municipalities, and regional or national zero waste initiatives. Am I missing anyone? Is there any any potential beneficiary or potential stakeholder to the Universal Registry of Things that I should also have on my radar that is not described in these categories that I just mentioned? Please let me know if you have other examples. And finally, the last question, and it may be also the harder to answer, is how. How would the Universal Registry of Things work? So in order to build the Universal Registry of Things, some technical as well as conceptual challenges must be addressed. How to integrate existing but sparse data sources? What kinds of conflicts of interest may arise? How to handle them? For instance, if a manufacturer is not comfortable or is not interested in having information shared, how do we deal with that situation? How to ensure lifetime trust for data? What are the possible governance models for the Universal Registry of Things? What are the technical specifications, tools, languages, and methodologies relevant for its development? And here, please add your own ideas or references to help face such challenges. During the 4 weeks of the Reuse City Lab, I remember some discussions around that have happened. One of them had to do with understanding the Universal Registry of Things in a way as being similar to Wikipedia, which I find interesting when you think about collaborative editing and the idea that the governance is not static. It depends on who is contributing to different kinds of data. But on the other hand, I'd like to think, maybe to go a little further in that metaphor or analogy and think of the governance model in a more direct connection to free software, the way free and open source software, the way it's usually handled or managed. I'm aware that there is no single way for free software and free and open source software governance, but I think the point is that I want to expand not only thinking about individual authorship, as seems to be the case in Wikipedia. I would imagine that Wikipedia expects a lot of volunteer contributions, and it's based around the idea of individuals making those contributions. Whilst in the case of free and open source software, there is also the image of institutional bodies contributing with data and with information and with code in the case of free software, which I think may be interesting in this case, in which we are naturally expecting individuals to contribute with data about how to reuse stuff. But I would also expect different kinds of institutions, be it volunteer-run projects related to repair or zero waste, but also industry bodies and professional associations that could also contribute with data for the Universal Registry of Things. So I would think it's interesting to acknowledge that there is this possibility of institutional contributions as well as individual. And finally, I think there is an immense opportunity of leverage for the development of the Universal Registry of Things if we think of getting together with legislations on the right to repair, which are finally being discussed and sometimes implemented in different parts of the world. And I would say that whenever there is a national or regional body responsible for overseeing the implementation of right to repair legislation, there is also an opportunity to develop data sources that could, maybe in a federated way, work together to offer data about how to reuse materials. So this is this brief description, as brief as I can, about the Universal Registry of Things. Thanks for watching, and I expect to have your comments in the form that I sent. Thanks a lot.